Common sense. From loose change to big change. June 22, 2025. The United States launches airstrikes on Iran's key nuclear sites. Explosions rock Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. The world reacts instantly, markets tumble, and leaders call emergency meetings. Iran vows swift retaliation, calling the attack an act of war. The Strait of Hormuz is the world's most critical energy choke point. Every day, huge oil and LNG tankers pass through its narrow waters. Disruption here would send shockwaves through global markets. Oil prices could spike, inflation would rise, and economies would feel the impact. For energy importers worldwide, the strait is a lifeline. Even the threat of closure creates volatility and fear. The world's economic stability hangs on this narrow passage. Iran has threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz before, but history shows it's nearly impossible. During the Iran-Iraq tanker war, hundreds of ships were attacked, yet oil kept flowing. Closing the strait would devastate Iran's own economy. 65% of its revenue comes from oil exports that must pass through these waters. Any attempt to mine or blockade the strait would trigger overwhelming U.S. military retaliation. The U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet, based nearby, is tasked with keeping the strait open, backed by superior naval and air power. Iran's military, skilled in asymmetric tactics, is outmatched in a direct fight. A closure would also alienate Iran's key partners, especially China, which relies on oil from the Gulf. Even Iran's neighbors would see it as a direct threat to their survival, further isolating Tehran. The risks of closing the strait far outweigh any potential gains. It would be a diplomatic and economic disaster for Iran. Despite fiery rhetoric, oil and LNG tankers continue to transit the strait. Business as usual for now. Even 5 hours after the strikes, real-time ship tracking data shows tankers and cargo ships continuing their routes through the strait, undeterred. The maritime traffic remains steady, a clear sign that despite the crisis, business is still proceeding as usual. The global shipping industry remains cautious, but the risk of immediate closure is seen as low. For Iran, closing the strait would hand the U.S. a diplomatic victory, uniting the world against Tehran. It would transform the conflict from a nuclear dispute to Iran holding the global economy hostage, justifying a massive U.S. response. Military strategists agree, Iran's threats are tools of coercion, not actual plans. Temporary disruptions are possible, but global oil reserves and OPEC spare capacity could cushion the blow. Iran's leaders are masters of brinkmanship, but they know a closure would trigger economic collapse and overwhelming retaliation. The threat is powerful, but acting on it would be suicidal for the regime. The logic of survival keeps the strait open. The Persian Gulf is tense, but a full closure of the strait remains unlikely. Iran's threats are strategic, meant to create uncertainty and deter further U.S. or Israeli action. The U.S. has shown its military might, and its Fifth Fleet stands ready to keep the oil flowing. Markets are nervous but not panicked. Military superiority is a strong backstop. Iran may retaliate through proxies or cyber attacks, but is unlikely to risk economic self-destruction. For now, the strait remains open, a testament to the powerful forces demanding stability. The coming days are critical, but self-preservation will likely prevail. The world watches, hoping this vital waterway stays open. Iran may have kept the strait open, but this story is far from over. In the next video, I'll break down how Iran could shake global markets in other ways. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the journey from loose change to big change.